Islands are creepy enough as is if you think about how they're cut off from any and everything just there by themselves in the middle of the water. To make matters worse, sometimes people do some bizarre and creepy things on them, and you're left wondering why in the world would anyone ever want to visit them. From the odd to the freaky, this is the most terrifying islands you don't want to visit. Number 8. Gyula Island. This island is one minor island just off of Naples in the Gulf of Naples in southwestern Italy. It's right in the middle of a protected marine reserve called Parco Sormoso de Gyula. The island has had a colorful past, at one time being littered and lined with factories, and another serving as a battery in the defense of the Gulf of Naples. A hermit nicknamed the Wizard then lived on the island in the early 19th century, and soon after, the villa that sits atop the land was built and owned and accompanied by Norman Douglas, the author of Siren Land. A legend lends some mysteriousness to the island, a legend that developed due to the premature deaths and terrible misfortunes that plagued owners of the island in the 20th century. Legend has it that this island is a cursed place, a place where its beauty hides a restless fate. Many owners have perished while still owning the island, as have people close to them. Some have misfortunes after misfortune, and their lives lie in ruin following their ownership of Gyula Island. Nope, not interested. I'll buy an island somewhere else, thank you. Number 7. Rame Island. This island has a crazy history. Back in January and February of 1945, the Battle of Rame Island took place between the British and the Japanese, and it didn't turn out so well for the Japanese. They were forced into marshes that surround the island at the close of the battle, and legend has it that saltwater crocodiles ate between 400 and 980 Japanese soldiers. Guinness World Records has this incident listed as the greatest disaster suffered by humans from animals. The story is called into question though, and many believe that only a few, 10 to 15 soldiers were actually killed by crocodiles, and that the rest fell due to other factors including dysentery, drowning, dehydration, sharks, and British gunfire. This creepy tale is enough for me to know that I'll be avoiding this island forever. And if you're watching this video, you might too. I ain't got time for no gators. Number 6. Palmyra Atoll. Palmyra Atoll is located basically due south of the Hawaiian Islands and is one of the Northern Line Islands. It is unoccupied, but at times it is inhabited by 4 to 25 non-occupants that vary and are only temporary and are scientists and staff employed by the US government and the Nature Conservancy. At times there is a rotating mix of Palmyra Atoll Research Consortium scholars. The scary aspect of this island is the fact that it was the site of a murder, with the possibility of being a double murder, back in 1974. Malcolm and Eleanor Graham, aka Mac and Muff, were a wealthy couple from San Diego that was murdered, at least one of them, on Palmyra. The story has it that Dwayne Buck Walker and Stephanie Stearns showed up in Honolulu in 1974 aboard the Graham's yacht and were arrested. For 6 years there were no bodies, so they only faced theft charges. Then a corroded, semi-buried chest was found near Palmyra in a lagoon that contained Muff Graham's remains. Walker and Stearns were arrested in Arizona, and eventually Walker served 22 years for the murder of Graham, while Stearns was released. She maintains that he didn't do it, that Mac accidentally killed his own wife. This story is crazy and has been made into book and TV miniseries. Look it up. Mac's remains have never been found. Number 5. Poveglia Island. This super creepy, no doubt ghost-inhabited, demon-containing, evil-possessing island is found in the Venetian Lagoon, northern Italy between Lido and Venice. It was mostly uninhabited until the 18th century, when it came under the jurisdiction of Magistrato alla Sanità, or the Public Health Office, and was used as a checkpoint for ships from Venice. The land was temporarily made into a confinement station for those sickened by the plague in 1793, and by 1805, the role of the island as a place to hold the plague-ridden became permanent. The quarantine station was finally closed in 1814, but reopened and used for a similar purpose from 1922 to 1968, when it was used as a long-term care facility and an asylum for the mentally ill. It's been featured on Scariest Places on Earth, as well as Ghost Adventures, and has been written into books and graphic novels alike. You can sign me up for a heck nah. Number 4. Fort Boyard. This here big boy fort can be found in the Pertuis d'Antioch Straits, off the west coast of France. Napoleon Bonaparte himself ordered the construction of the fort after years and years of consideration and planning. The development of the fort was first considered way back between 1661 and 1667, but was put off due to various reasons. It was finally started in 1801 and finished in 1857, which is a long time. It's oval-shaped and just 223 feet long, 102 feet wide. The wide walls span 66 feet, and inside there were a yard, stores and quarters for soldiers and officers, and facilities and casemates for guns and various other weapons. Following its use as a military fort, the strange building was used as a military prison sometime between the years of 1871 and 1913 when it was abandoned. The lack of maintenance on the fort saw the structure crumbling and deteriorating, and eventually it was made a listed building. It's been the filming location of a TV show known as Fort Boyard, as you can see in this picture, and was also the location chosen for the filming of a movie. Who would want to go here? The place looks creepy as a mother. Why build a fort prison island thingy and then leave it to rot? Ghost fodder, man. Number 3. Isla de las Manecas. Yeah, no. Just no. This place is known as Isla de las Manecas, or Island of the Dolls. It's located in Xochimilco, which is one of 16 mayoralites, or boroughs in Mexico City. Once upon a time, the island belonged to a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera, who was a known loner and native of the La Asuncion neighborhood. Legend has it that after finding a drowned girl surrounded by mysterious circumstances in a canal in the area, and when he saw a doll floating nearby, he hung the doll from a tree near her body as a sign of respect, as he believed it to be hers. Following the attachment of the plaything, he reportedly began hearing anguished wails, footsteps, and even whispers in the darkness outside of his hut that was hidden deep in the woods of Xochimilco. Scared half to death, he spent the next 50 years hanging dolls, some whole, some in pieces, all around the island to appease the girl's spirit. It was reported in 2001 that Barrera was fully drowned as well, in the same spot he found the girl's body 50 years prior. And ever since, the island has been a popular tourist attraction. It's been featured on Ghost Adventures and Lore by Amazon Prime, and is famous amongst ghost hunters and skeptics alike to this day. Again, no thanks. Dolls hanging from trees in a forest? Not for this guy. Number 2. Izu Islands. This group of little islands are all a part of Tokyo Prefecture and stretch south and east from the Izu Peninsula of Honshu, Japan. These volcanic islands each have their own identity and serve their own purpose. If you want to watch dolphins, go to Mikurajima. If you would like a beautiful, relaxing beach day, go to Niijima. If you enjoy learning about cultures, hit up Hachijojima. Or if you're particular to plush, sandy shores, try out Kozujima. There are a couple more islands, but we'll spare you the details. Let's get on to why these little floaters are on the bizarre side, shall we? The sulfur in the air here is so dense and levels are so high that for a time, it was recommended to carry gas masks with you. On one island in particular, Miyake, it was a required necessity that residents take them with them at all times due to the volcanic activity being so prevalent. At one point, the island was even entirely evacuated for 5 years because of the eruptions. On July 1st, 2013, the gas mask rule was lifted, but still, who would want to visit? Way too post-apocalyptic looking for me. Number 1. Deer Island. Okay, so this here island is one of the American Thousand Islands. It sits between the US and Canada and the St. Lawrence River and is used as a Skull and Bones retreat, and it's entirely owned by the Russell Trust Association. What is Skull and Bones, you may be asking? Well, it's an undergraduate secret society at Yale. It was founded in 1832 by Alphonso Taft and William Huntington Russell. Yes, Russell Trust Association Russell. The society is pretty secretive and has a reputation for being tied to the power elite, and some of its alumni, pictured here, include both President Bushes, John Kerry, Harold Stanley, Frederick W. Smith, Stephen A. Schwartzman, James Jesus Angleton, etc. If you don't know these names, Google them, and you'll see what I mean by power elite. Back to Deer Island though. The island is a retreat for bonesmen, as seen in this picture, to get together and do secretive things. It's speculated that creepy rituals are conducted there, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. And many of the old buildings are barely visible through the overgrowth. What freaky things happen here? I don't know. And I don't know if I'd want to know. Just seems like a place I wouldn't want to visit. How about you? North Sentinel Island. This secluded locale is somewhere you probably don't want to attempt to visit unless you want to find yourself confronted by a bunch of people who, for good reasons, don't want you there. North Sentinel Island sits in the Bay of Bengal and is one of the Andaman Islands. The inhabitants of the previously said island are some of the last people to have virtually no contact with modern civilization. They're known as the Sentinelese, and they're very protective of their little world, and understandably so with their past experiences with more modern people. In 1880, an expedition led by a government administrator wishing to study the islanders named Maurice Vidal Portman resulted in the deaths of 2 of them. and in a way most of us wouldn't even at first consider. Infectious disease and other illnesses can rapidly spread and be fatal for the Sentinelese, as they've had no exposure to modern sickness. So when Portman and his crew captured 6 of them, 2 elderly and 4 children, 2 became ill and perished. They returned the other 4 with an abundance of presents and left it at that, for the time being. Portman revisited the island several more times throughout his life, but no advancements towards a relationship between modern people were made, and the island is under Indian protection and is considered its own sovereign entity.
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. You know the deal. See you guys next time.
For better.